Hi guys. Okay, I'm making this video for my students and for my clients that are having a little bit of trouble figuring out Lightroom. I want to show you something very, very important. For the use of Lightroom, you need a impeccable file management structure, which means that your files and folders need to be very organized. Especially if you're going to be moving Lightroom catalogs around. So let me start by saying, first of all, every single job that I do, when I come home from a photo shoot, what I do is I create a root folder. Okay, that starts with the date 2013-09-01 and any name that I'm going to be able to remember and connect to that person in that job. Okay, so the reason I do that is because if you can see here, the computer automatically puts these all in chronological order by date. As soon as I started off with 2013-09-01, this is the last job. The next one was 08-24. The next one down was 08-21. These are descending, by the way, most recent at the top. 08-16, 08-13, 08-12, 08, and so on and so on and so on. So it's in chronological order every single job that I've ever done. Okay. Inside of these folders, what I do before I plug my camera in, before I do anything, I don't launch Lightroom, nothing. I come home, I create this folder. And then inside of that folder, I create 3 new folders: edited, LR, and raw. And I'll show you every single job, edited, LR, and raw. Okay. Every single job gets these 3 folders. Now once I've created these 3 folders, then I'll open up my RAW. I will double click. If I'm on PC, I'm going to double click and I'm going to navigate to my camera. I'm going to plug it in, or just the memory card from my camera. I'm going to navigate to that. And then I'm going to grab the RAW files for that job and I'm going to dump them into the RAW folder. So now all my RAWs are dumped into there. Now you can open Lightroom. Open up Lightroom. Lightroom is always going to want to open up the last catalog that you had open before. So if it was moved or if it was on an external drive that is now unplugged, it'll come up and it'll say the last catalog you opened is missing. What do you want to do? Do you want to create? Do you want to use a default? No. Do you want to create a different one? Yes. Now in this screen, some other ones that aren't missing that you had open in the past are here, or you can say create a new. So I'm going to say create a new because this is a brand new one. And in this example, I'm gonna go to this folder on that drive. This drive here. This is one of my clients. She gave me 3 jobs. It's in here in the folders. In this folder, September. There's 3 jobs right there. Within those, all she gave me was the RAWs that have already been pared down. So in other words, everything the client is going to see is in that file. There it is, the RAW file. There it is, the RAW file. Okay. So for each one, I'm going to create. Sorry, I'm going to create the LR and the edited for each job. LR, edited, LR, edited. Okay. In some cases, my clients give me these, and there's already a Lightroom catalog in there, which is great for me because they can star rate the ones that they want me to Photoshop. But the problem is if you don't have this file management structure down to a science, then just don't even bother. Just give me the RAW folder and let me create these, because I've gotten Lightroom catalogs that have random folders all over the place. They don't work properly. I can't reassociate them. There's RAW files all over the place, and it just doesn't work. It takes me a lot longer to troubleshoot than it does to just, as you could see, take a couple seconds to create these folders and the Lightroom catalogs myself. So you'll see, I'm going to show you right now how unbelievably fast it is to do this whole file management structure and save yourself a hell of a lot of time and a lot of frustration as well. So these 3 folders are very, very, very important. Now that I've got the RAW files in there and everything's ready to go for those 3 jobs, now I can open Lightroom. So I'm going to open up Lightroom, and Lightroom's going to try to open up the last catalog that I had open. As I showed you, it came up to the screen, so I'm going to say create a new one, September on that drive. I'm going to go on the first one. I'm going to go to the LR folder for that drive. You can see the file path right here: computer, GoFlex, September, Inkster family. This is the first job. I'm going to go into their LR folder, and I'm going to call it Inkster. Okay, hit save, and now it's going to launch a brand new catalog. That's give it a second. You can see right here it says Inkster. Okay, so that's an empty catalog for that job. So I'm going to go into library mode and I'm going to say import. I'm going to navigate to her drive in the September folder under the Inkster family to their raw files, and I'm going to click include subfolders. And the reason I'm going to do that, and I always do that, is just to stay in good habit of doing that. Because if there was in this case a second shooter, the photographer could put inside of the raw folder a folder with her name on it and a folder with her second shooter's name on it, and keep those files separate. And if you have this ticked, it will see the files in all of those, in the subfolders within your raw folder. But in this case it was just her, so I'm just going to be on the raw folder. And if there are two folders inside the raw folder, you'll get this little arrow right here that you can turn down and you'll see the two folders in there. Don't import suspected duplicates. Just means if you shoot RAW and JPEG at the same time, it'll create a RAW file. So this one here, it looks like she's renamed them to Inkster Family Portraits 035.nef. That's a RAW file. Now, if she was shooting RAW and JPEG and it was coming straight out of the camera, it would be the camera file name, NEF, and then right next to it would be the camera file name, exactly the same as that one, but it would be .jpeg. So if you have this ticked, it will ignore the JPEGs and bring in only the RAW files. Up here, copy as DNG, copy and move. If you're moving these into the right file management structure and everything is local, it should only say add. It should automatically say add. If this, or this is lit up, you've done something wrong. It should say add always, and none of this. If you go over here, you can see it'll give you all kinds of different things you can fill out when you've got one of these ticked, and you just shouldn't. It should just always say add, okay? Because you're adding these raw files to this catalog, and it's all local, so everything, it should just say add. That's all you're doing, is adding the files to the catalog. So once all that's done, click import, and it'll import all those files. Now there wasn't a whole lot of files in there, so it's done already. So I'm going to say file new. I'm going to go out to the next job, which is Katie and Dan, and it's a wedding. I'm going to go into their LR folder. I am going to call it Katie and Dan, and I'm going to hit save. Now it's closed down Lightroom and it's opening up a new Lightroom catalog. You'll see now it says Katie and Dan right here. Import. I'm going to make sure that I navigate to Katie and Dan's folder. Click on their raw folder, make sure it says include subfolders, make sure it says add, don't import suspected duplicates, and import. Now there's 300 files in this one, so there's going to be, it's going to take a little longer, but you can see the progress here, and it is now done. File, new catalog, September, and the third job, Ramsey Maternity. I'm going to go into their LR folder, Ramsey, and hit, you see there's that Ramsey, hit save. It's going to open a brand new catalog. There it is, Ramsey. You know you're working with the right catalog. Say import, navigate to the Ramsey folder, raw. I've got include, all these things will stay the same. This and this will stay the same. The include subfolders, and that will, anything you filled out last time will be there this time. It says add, click import. Okay, so now let me show you what Lightroom has done behind the scenes. If we go out to that folder, September, okay, there's my 3 jobs. Now I've got the raw files there that are talking to the Lightroom catalog, and the Lightroom catalog are talking to those raw files. Inside the Lightroom folder that I created, Lightroom made its own little folder called Inkster. And there's the 2 files. There's the previews folder, which is just all the thumbnail previews, just helps Lightroom load those a little faster. And there's your Lightroom catalog, and that's all that should ever be in the LR folder. This folder is useless without these if you're transporting or giving to me, and this folder is useless without that, okay? This can be empty. I will fill this for you when I am done the work if you choose to have me export them for you. So now, if you are, that's how you do it locally for people, for my students who may be watching this, that's how you're going to do it. That's what we explained in class. And if you are a customer of mine and you're going to send me a job, then you would grab the whole root folder. Okay, you would create these on your own system on a local hard drive, and then what you would do is you would open up your external drive that you're going to send me in the mail, open it up, and you would drag the entire root folder from where it resides on your computer to the drive you're sending me. That way I get the client's name, I get these 3 folders, and if you've done something already in Lightroom, I can just go like this and I can open up your Lightroom catalog and I can see what you've done. Okay? So, and I'm getting the raw files in the right location and they will be properly connected to the Lightroom catalog. And that's how it works. So, let me just show you the export process real quick. Let's say you've gone through and you've edited all of this. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to hit File Save when you've created a Lightroom catalog and you started working on stuff. I'll show you why. If you go into develop mode, I'm going to presume most of you know how to edit in Lightroom. I'm going to do a Lightroom editing tutorial later, but I don't want to get into it too much right now. But if you watch on this history palette right here, everything that I do to this image, or any other image in this catalog, everything I just did, you can see, is being recorded on the fly. Okay, it's being recorded on the fly. Which means that you never have to say File, Save, or before you close Lightroom. I can close it right now because it's gonna. This is what this software does. It records everything on the fly. Unlike the history palette in Photoshop being gone forever when you close Photoshop, this records the history. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to hold all of this information for all of these photos until you're ready to do something with it. And your RAWs are not being touched right now. This is simply a preview of what your RAW looks like. And what you're doing to it in this edit panel over here is almost like Lightroom saying, okay, you want to do all of these things, I'll just hold all that information right here until you're ready to do something with it. Okay? Now, say you've gone through this entire job and you're ready to export them all. You would do Command A on the Mac or Control A on the PC. I'm going to just grab 4 for demonstration purposes, and I'm going to say export. And then when you get this export screen, nothing in this export screen except for the export location, which is telling Lightroom where you want them to go, file settings, which is telling what file format to export as. I always choose JPEG at 100% quality, and sRGB is pretty standard across the board unless you're printing at a big pro lab and you're shooting Adobe 98. Every camera comes set to sRGB, but you can change it to Adobe 98. Anybody sending to me needs to let me know that they've shot it in Adobe 98 because I will do the default, which is sRGB. Okay, so you're going to export JPEG 100% quality, and you're going to go to image sizing and make sure that it says 300 dpi here. This is for resizing and stuff. Well, we won't get into that right now because just leave that unticked and make sure it says 300 dpi, and that will give you a full resolution ratio straight out of the camera size image. Okay. And I don't fill out any more of these. That's it. So I want to choose where it's going to go. The Ramsey folder, their edited folder, and hit select, and then export. So what Lightroom's doing right now, you can see the progress right here. It should happen pretty quick because I only chose 4 images for demonstration purposes. It's exporting to the Ramsey folder on her drive. Ramsey edited. There's the 4 files right there. It exported them. So now this folder right here is fully edited, fully proofed files ready to go to the customer. Now if you're going to Photoshop them, you will open this folder in Bridge, and anything you've done inside of Lightroom, like star ratings or labels, will show up through Bridge on these files. So what I do is once everything is exported here, say it's a wedding, for example, once everything's been edited and exported to that folder, I'll open this in Bridge and I'll look in there and I'll see my 5 stars, the ones I know that I want to do Photoshop work to. So I would just open those in Photoshop, edit them, and save and overwrite in this folder and just leave them all in there. That way, this folder is everything that I know I want my client to see. Everything is proofed, everything is color balanced, everything is the way I like it. Black and white might be in there, whatever. Whatever the customer is going to get, including the Photoshopped files, are in here, okay? And that's about it. So you need this file management structure to be set up like this in order to have Lightroom work flawlessly. And I promise you, if you do it this way, it will be flawless and it'll work perfectly. I've been doing it for a long time and I've never had problems. If you're sending to me, again, just remember to send me the root folder, which is the client, the 3 folders inside, and if there's multiple shooters, you can have 2 separate folders in here with the 2 different shooters files separated. Nothing in here except for the Lightroom catalog and the previews for it, which is generated automatically by Lightroom as soon as you save it in there. And this would be empty because I would be doing the work in Lightroom and sending it back to you in the edited folder if you choose to have me render them out. Some people just have me give back the Lightroom catalog. Okay? And that's it. I hope that helps. I hope that lets you all understand Lightroom a little bit better. It is pretty easy to work with once you understand it. And but there is a little bit of a learning curve just to understand the fact that Lightroom does work by file association, which means it's just a project software that holds information only and nothing else. Alrighty, so thank you very much for watching, and I really hope that helped. And this will be on YouTube for my students and or my clients. And that's it. Thanks. Have a good one. Cheers.